So Isaiah Thomas is making his return to the Cleveland Cavaliers. What should we expect? Not necessarily just from his debut, but from now until the end of the season, wherever that may be for Cleveland. I think it'll be them in the NBA Finals again, so what can we expect from Isaiah, from him personally, and then his relation with this entire team? Well, if we just talk about the rotation, number one, Jose Calderon's out, because LeBron James acts as the primary ball handler when Calderon's in there anyway. Sure, Jose will have his moments here and there, but typically LeBron James is the guy, and then Dwayne Wade serves as the backup point guard. So Calderon's going to be out, Isaiah Thomas is in there, and if we just start with the starting lineup, LeBron doing stuff with the ball and then Isaiah Thomas playing off of that should be totally fine, because Isaiah's a really good three-point shooter. And I wouldn't be surprised if Isaiah actually shot better from three with Cleveland than he did with the Celtics, just because he probably won't get as many contested threes. A lot of his threes with the Celtics were contested shots. They were pull-ups off of pick and rolls, step backs, pull-ups in transition. And sure, he's still going to have those plays, but some of them I think could just be open shots from LeBron James just being LeBron James. I think the starting lineup's probably going to be Isaiah Thomas, J.R. Smith, LeBron, Crowder, and then Kevin Love. There's a shooter everywhere, And then you make the swaps with Korver going in there, and Jeff Green's three-pointer hasn't been as good this year, but there's a lot of shooting that can go into the game for them, and Isaiah Thomas is just another guy who can do that. I guess before I go deeper, let me go back to the rotations a little bit, specifically Derrick Rose. I don't know if Derrick Rose is going to have a place on this team once he's good to go, healthy, and just ready to be out there, because Dwayne Wade has served as the backup point guard for LeBron here, and Cleveland has had some success with that, and now you have Isaiah Thomas coming back. I just think it'll be really tough to put Derrick Rose back into this rotation. So that's just something that I wanted to say, because D Rose is going to be coming back here at some point. So now if I can get back to the off-ball stuff, it'll be interesting to see if Isaiah has sets that he ran with the Celtics on the T-Wolves, what am I talking about? The Cavs. Brad Stevens is a way better coach than Ty Lue. So I don't think Ty Lue has the talent to get as creative as Stevens did with some of the stuff he would use for Isaiah moving off ball. That doesn't mean that we won't see anything off ball, He could be moving across some screens, but I definitely think Isaiah is going to find himself in a few more simple sets with Cleveland, but given that he's got LeBron next to him, might not be that bad anyway. If we can talk about Isaiah having the ball in his hands and how LeBron James will play off of that. Just look at how LeBron played off of Kyrie, which, to be fair, was not always that creative. I think in Miami, LeBron and Dwayne Wade did a really good job of, sometimes they'd be cutting, or one of them would get into the post and the other one would get it to him, or they just found ways of playing off each other really well. I'm sure there will be some of that with Isaiah and LeBron, but I think you're going to see more of it with LeBron in his hands and then Isaiah profiting off of that, more so than Isaiah with the ball and then LeBron doing stuff. Sure, LeBron will cut to the rim every now and then, and he can be an alley-oop target, and he can be good in transition, but do I think we're going to see LeBron setting a million screens off ball and all that? No. Which, you could make the argument that shouldn't be the case, in terms of, he shouldn't be doing off-ball stuff because he's LeBron James, so you want to put the ball in his hands, So I think it's something to expect. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I think it's just the way it's going to be. If we can talk about how Isaiah is going to fit in with Dwayne Wade, this could potentially be the one awkward part, because D Wade's been leading the second units. He's been the primary ball handler, and those benched lineups with him and Chetty Osman and Channing Frye and Kyle Korver, those lineups have been really good. And if Isaiah Thomas plays with those lineups, which he might not, I don't know, maybe he'll just stick to being out there with LeBron, then that could cause some awkwardness just because it'll take the ball out of Dwayne Wade's hand. And sure, D Wade's still pretty crafty, and he's a smart player, and he can cut to the rim, and he can attack a closeout and stuff, but he's definitely not what he once was in terms of an athlete and just an overall talent, so he could have a little bit more trouble when the ball is not in his hands. So we'll just have to see what happens there. Similar to LeBron and Isaiah, I could picture Isaiah doing some off-ball stuff with Dwayne Wade. Now, from a defensive standpoint, you put Isaiah Thomas out there with like Channing Frye and Kyle Korver, you could have some problems on defense, but I think Cleveland at this point is content with being an elite offensive team and then just getting by on defense, and then they'll step it up a bit in the postseason. I mean, they're my pick to go to the NBA Finals anyway, so I'm not really that concerned. And I think an interesting thing that we've seen for a while is LeBron's always had, like, that other guy who can create a bit next to him. Of course, it was Kyrie Irving, and then in Miami it was Dwayne Wade. And he hasn't really had that for this season so far, and we've seen him have potentially his best season, which is scary to say. So when Isaiah comes back, well, now that he is back, it'll be interesting to see if LeBron becomes even more efficient. It'll be interesting, man. I mean, I think when LeBron James is driving, I'm sure the defense doesn't get too concerned over Jose Calderon. Sure, he can shoot, but I feel like as long as you get it within his zip code, he's not going to beat you on a closeout. You know, he's one of the least athletic players in the NBA. Isaiah Thomas, you combine his height and his ability to just find cracks in the defense on top of being a very athletic player, he can be tough to stay in front of. So if the defense is reeling a little bit off of a LeBron James help, and then they close out to Isaiah and he beats them off of that, you know, I mean, that could be an opportunity where just with all that shuffling could make LeBron James even better. Or there will be times when the defense doesn't really know if they should help on LeBron or if they should just stay glued to Isaiah. So, I mean, he's going to make the team better, no doubt. If there's going to be any sense of awkwardness, I think it's going to be gone pretty quickly. Because you're dealing with just a lot of good shooters and a great playmaker in LeBron James, so should be a pretty natural fit. And the other thing this does is it gives Cleveland another guy who can just go off for like 40 points or whatever, assuming that his hip is not so hurt that he's not the same player anymore. Because there were times throughout Kyrie's time with Cleveland where, you know, LeBron still does his thing, but just having that second guy who can go nuts makes it really difficult for the defense to play defense. And of course, Kyrie Irving was a huge reason why they beat the Warriors in the playoffs. And Isaiah has those similar capabilities. I mean, if you think Kyrie's a little better of a player, or you think Isaiah's a little better, I mean, I think we'd all agree they both can go off for 45 points out of nowhere. So LeBron's got that next to him again. Now, if I can get back to the defense a little bit, I know I mentioned that Cleveland is just accepting their fate as a defensive team, but there is still, like, Kevin Love and Isaiah Thomas are going to have to defend pick and rolls and stuff. Now, Kevin Love, he seems to be moving a little better this season, just based on what I've seen. I might be totally wrong on that one, because I haven't seen every Cavs game, but it seems like when I have caught them, he's been a little better. I'm still going to assume that he's going to get beat a lot in open space, and then Isaiah Thomas is what he is on defense, even if he does put in the effort. So it's the pros and the cons of Isaiah Thomas. He's a very good offensive player. He's a pretty bad defensive one. And you combine that with some of the other defenders in this team, it could be rough. But at the same time, I think you could put lineups together that's like Isaiah, LeBron, J.R. Smith, Jay Crowder, Tristan Thompson. I mean, if you get a focused J.R. Smith, that's not really that bad of a defensive lineup. Now, Tristan Thompson has not been good this season, and Jay Crowder's shooting has been a struggle, so who knows if that would even be a successful lineup for Cleveland, but hopefully it would be, because I think that's the type of lineup that has the most potential for them, just because it's a mix of offense and defense. Like, you could throw a lineup out there that's Isaiah Thomas, LeBron James, Kyle Korver, J.R. Smith, and Kevin Love. From an offensive standpoint, that lineup would be lethal. Defensively, I mean, who's even the good defender in there? Is LeBron and J.R. Smith kind of, like, you know, mixing and matching for the lineups will be interesting for the Cavaliers, but getting Isaiah Thomas back is good nonetheless, and I'm excited to see him back out there.